Pope Francis, leading the Catholic Church from 2013 to 2025, left an indelible mark on the global stage. He was known for his humility, his commitment to social justice, and his unwavering advocacy for the environment. One of his most significant contributions was his framing of climate change as a moral issue. He argued that it was not merely an environmental concern, but a social justice crisis. In his landmark 2015 encyclical, Pope Francis challenged the world to confront the environmental degradation and climate change threatening the planet. He called for a radical shift in perspective, urging humanity to recognize its interconnectedness with nature. He criticized consumerism and the relentless pursuit of profit, which he argued were at the root of the environmental crisis. Pope Francis urged world leaders to take concrete action to address climate change. He called for a transition to renewable energy sources and a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. He also stressed the need for international cooperation to address this global challenge. His pronouncements resonated with people of all faiths and backgrounds, galvanizing a global movement for climate action. Throughout his papacy, Pope Francis consistently used his platform to raise awareness about climate change and its impact on the poor and marginalized. He met with scientists, activists, and policymakers to discuss solutions. His efforts helped to bring the issue of climate change to the forefront of the global agenda. Pope Francis was a staunch advocate for indigenous rights, recognizing their deep connection to the land and their role as stewards of the environment. He spoke out against the exploitation of indigenous communities and their territories. He condemned the destruction of rainforests, which he described as the lungs of the planet. He made several trips to South America, where he met with indigenous leaders and listened to their concerns. He apologized for the Church's role in the historical oppression of indigenous peoples, acknowledging the pain and suffering inflicted upon them. He called for reconciliation and healing. Pope Francis recognized the importance of indigenous knowledge systems in addressing environmental challenges. He believed that indigenous communities held valuable insights into living in harmony with nature. He encouraged dialogue and collaboration between indigenous communities and scientists to find solutions to the climate crisis. His advocacy for indigenous rights was not without its critics. Some accused him of interfering in political matters. However, Pope Francis remained steadfast in his belief that the Church had a moral obligation to speak out against injustice and to defend the rights of the most vulnerable. In 2025, the world watched as Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost was elected Pope, taking the name Leo XIV. As the first US-born Pope and a man with deep roots in Peru, his election signaled a potential shift in the Catholic Church's approach to global issues. Pope Leo XIV brought with him a wealth of experience from his decades of missionary work in Peru. Known for his humility and his commitment to social justice, Pope Leo XIV had spent years advocating for the marginalized. He had witnessed firsthand the struggles of impoverished communities and the devastating effects of environmental degradation. His background and experiences positioned him to understand the interconnectedness of social justice and environmental issues. While Pope Leo XIV had not been as vocal about climate change as his predecessor, his early actions suggested a continuation of Pope Francis's legacy. He praised, signaling his support for its message. He also expressed concern about the ongoing threats to the Amazon rainforest and its indigenous inhabitants. The world waited with anticipation to see how Pope Leo XIV would use his platform to address these pressing global challenges. His unique background and his commitment to social justice offered a glimmer of hope in a world grappling with climate change, inequality, and political polarization. The papacy holds a unique position of moral authority in the world. With over 1.3 billion Catholics worldwide, the Pope's words carry immense weight. Both Pope Francis and Pope Leo XIV have demonstrated the power of the papacy to amplify the voices of the marginalized and to challenge the status quo. By framing climate change as a moral issue and advocating for indigenous rights, they have brought these issues to the forefront of the global stage. Their actions have inspired millions to take action and have put pressure on world leaders to address these critical challenges. The papacy's focus on social justice and environmental issues is particularly significant in the context of rising global inequality and the escalating climate crisis. As the world grapples with these interconnected challenges, the moral leadership of the Catholic Church can play a pivotal role in galvanizing action and promoting a more just and sustainable future. The legacy of Pope Francis and the potential impact of Pope Leo XIV offer a beacon of hope in a world desperately in need of change.